This is Peter from the Crowject, and I'm sitting down because we have a very special guest on the pod. He is going to be running for the member panel. And when I say member panel, I mean the board for the Adelaide Crows for 2025, and he's nominated himself. We've got Matt Parbs. Matt, how are you?
Good, thanks, Pete. Thanks for having me on, and welcome to the shed.
It is an amazing shed, and we'll get to that very soon because honestly, it's one of those things that's just phenomenal. I've looked around. You're a big Ayrton Senna fan too, which we'll get to in a second.
I am.
Which, birds of a feather are all I can say about that. Now, Matt, you've nominated yourself for the board.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about your thought process as to why you applied for
it. Look, I was on the members engagement panel in 2023. Mm-hmm. We crossed paths on that, and yes. I'm one of these people that for a long time have sort of always been a person that if I see something that needs improving, I want to jump in and help. I've been a member of the footy club. I'm a foundation member. Been a member since I was 7 years old. Love this club and just want to be involved as much as I possibly can. And after I got involved in the members engagement panel, that lit a fire. Loved my time on there, and since then I've had a lot of people sort of tap me on the shoulder and go, Matt, you should apply. You should have a crack at the board. And this year I thought, you know what, I'll do it. Let's have a go. So put in a nomination and have been accepted. So the campaign trail is well and truly underway.
Yes, it's the most important election
absolutely.
This year. Yep. Now, let's touch on the member engagement panel. Obviously, we met through the 2023 cohort there. Yep. Tell me even your experience there through the member engagement panel, because I felt like we were a bit attuned in some of our thoughts on the panel. Yeah,
I thought it was amazing. Any Crow supporter that can have an opportunity to get on it, I couldn't encourage it more. To have that connection and sort of to get the inside information as to what's going on.
Yes.
And even to be able to suggest changes at meetings and then, see things happen throughout the season. It's a great feeling to know that, you can help out and push this club that we're all passionate about in the right direction and to be that voice for supporters too. I mean, my time on that panel, the amount of phone calls, emails, text messages, everything, people were reaching out to me going, hey, I've got this problem, or how about we do this, and just to be able to be that voice. Yeah. Even on that point, and put it towards a panel and see what people thought. I think it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was. I guess with that, how did it change your view of the club, as in the internal machinations?
I think, I think you have a look at social media, and I'll put my hand up when you're not in the loop and you're not fully informed, you think that things aren't being done properly, or people aren't, people making the boys club and blah, blah, blah. The people there know what they're doing, and they're, you've got highly educated people. You've got just, the top of the top, passionate about the club, working hard to achieve success on and off of it.
Yeah.
And the decisions and the ideas that they were bringing through were fantastic. I mean, people are judging what's happening off the field by lack of success on it. And I think that's not overly fair, but I think it made me feel more connected and even more passionate, which I didn't think was possible.
Yeah.
About the club, and hence, now why I've wanted to stay on. I think, we talked about it at the end of the year. The entire engagement panel wanted to go for another year.
Yeah, that's right.
And we pushed for it, and they thought about it, and whether or not they were seriously considered it. But I think it's fantastic that everyone gets an opportunity. But I would have very gladly gone on for another 12 months doing that.
No, well, you have the opportunity now. So
fingers crossed.
Yeah. So you mentioned in your introduction to the member base.
Yep.
About engaging the youth, engaging the next generation of Crows fans.
Yep.
How exactly do you plan to go about that if you were elected to the board?
Look, I've got 2 kids myself. I was a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old. He's 7 yesterday, actually. So shout out, happy birthday to Harrison. He loves the Crows, but he's got mates that, I've said to him, why don't you wear your hat to school, or I'll buy you a drink bottle. It's got a crow, and I don't want to do that, Dad. I'm like, why not? He said, all of my mates are Port supporters. I'll make fun of them. Yeah, and that sort of kids follow success, and unfortunately, the other lot have been a little more successful in the regular season. They can't do much in September. But,
I was going to say. Yes.
Hinkley 10 more years, unfortunately. He wants to feel engaged. You see him down at training and chasing autographs and that kind of thing. He loves that. But on a match day, it's sort of, you roll down on the kid zone, and then once that's finished, that's it. He's up in the stands with everyone else. Whereas you go to a Strikers game, or I think you need to bring the kids more into a match day.
Yeah,
the club need to do more in probably engagement from a digital point of view as well. I think stuff on the website, app, give kids a way of connecting there. I mean, I'm old enough to appreciate 97 and 98, but doing something where some fun ways the kids can learn about the history of the club, have some competitions for them. I mean, what they're doing, going Port Pirie and up at Mount Barker and, spreading it around and letting kids get engaged, get out and you can see Tex in the flesh. And I think that's important, to being able to spread it. I mean, SA is a pretty big spot, but I mean, we've got fans all over Australia. So, I mean, you need to have more engagement. We like the Leyland brothers, mate. We go everywhere. So it's an older reference.
It's very old reference. I did understand it, but it's a very old reference. No, it's interesting you say that. Look, I got a 5-year-old myself.
Yep.
And when it comes to the match day experience, I understand that they do the kids engagement area just near the Malcolm Blight statue.
Yeah.
However, I find it can be a little bit difficult to get to.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about it on the panel as well, about the actual match day experience generally can be a bit dour.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on what needs to change even in the lead up to the game? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot in regards to this, because there's only so much a board can do.
Yep.
However, tell me a little bit about your thoughts about the match day experience and things that could potentially change there.
Well, look, one of the things, going back to with Strikers games and stuff like that, one of the things I took him to Strikers games this year, and one of the things he loved was he went and made a sign. He's trying to get Alex Carey's gloves and that kind of stuff. But they hold up the signs. They half-time, quarter time, in between innings and that for those games, they engage the crowd and they focus it on kids.
Yeah.
And I feel like you just given those opportunities. Half-time, we've got guys and girls trying to kick balls through basketball hoops and stuff like that. Bring the kids out onto the ground and let them have an experience. Give them opportunities to win experiences. I'll tell you a story. I had a mate. He's someone he works with is a staunch Crows supporter.
Yep.
And he's got 2 kids, probably I think similar age to Harrison, and he played Auskick, but didn't quite have his team yet. He hummed and hard, and his football club got to play in a mini league game at a Port game. So someone within the family bought him a Port scarf or a hat, whatever, and they took him to the game. After the game, all the team have gone down to high-five the players and that.
Yep.
One of the Port players has grabbed him, dragged him over the fence, and taken him into the change rooms to sing the club song with him.
Oh, God.
I know.
Damn it.
I would have gone for. I would have tried to push for kidnapping, but
yeah.
But but what's But since then, he's become an absolute staunch Port supporter.
Yeah.
So this bloke's now got 2 kids that absolutely love Port, and it's something that didn't cost Port anything. that's going to live with that kid for all of his days.
It's a tangible thing. Yeah.
And I mean, there's little things like that just access to the players. I've got family friends that all of them have kids, and all of them are Crow supporters, thankfully. But I've asked them leading into it, how would your kids like to engage with the footy club? And all of them to it, more access. And look, I know being a profession, it's hard to do.
Yep.
But access to the ground, access to the players.
Yeah.
You've got to find that happy medium, but just being able to be connected with the club in any possible way. And you've got to build those channels, whether that digital, in-person, it's there's ways of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, look, from my personal perspective, my daughter, she isn't a fan of the men's side whatsoever. She loves the women's team.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that I think to myself, is that because of their success too?
Yeah.
Now, she's only 5.
Yeah.
However, I've talked to her about, some of the premierships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, that she really enjoyed that. And I grew up, as you did too, in the 90s. And I remember at school, being 9 and 10 when the premierships happened.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was the perfect thing that squeezed a lot of people from, or younger people from not becoming Port fans.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I think, we won it the first year that Port came into the competition, and you sort of look, it's a sliding doors moment.
Yeah.
Had we not, what would have happened?
It's the best troll job ever.
Oh, absolutely. we teased it to them, let them win the first showdown.
Yep.
And then just snatched it out from underneath.
Exactly.
And I thought it was fantastic.
That was the best. It's so good. Now, tell me a little bit about your own professional experience too. You mentioned your SA Amateur League as well.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about your involvement there.
So I played football. I went down and started playing football for Lockleys Footy Club.
Okay.
In my early 20s.
What position?
I was a small forward.
Nice. What was your kicking action?
It wasn't Brian Binky.
Oh, poor one.
No.
Right.
I'd say a much lesser version of a little Matty Bode, maybe.
So less hair, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I've sort of haircut of Nigel Smart and the action, maybe a bit of Matty Bode about it, but
that's okay.
Yeah, I was down there for a while, and then I started my own business at 25, and just decided that it wasn't a smart move on. If I got injured or I went through a back end of the season of breaking a nose and breaking a couple of ribs, and went, if this gets any worse, then I won't be able to function in a job, because if I'm not working, no one pays the bills. So
fair.
So I took the mature decision and stepped aside, and then got in and did some assistant coaching, just got involved as much as I possibly could. Club was really sort of struggling for success and that kind of thing at that stage. And then again got tapped on the shoulder and said, Parbs, you're passionate. Why don't you step up to be on the board? I got nominated as vice president, which I took on, and just threw myself into it. Loved the time there. At that stage, the club was really old school, still really living in the 80s almost, and we had to make a lot of hard decisions to snap out of that. And in that time, we had some success, which then once you got the ball rolling, it really came on. We won the first premiership in 20 odd years or something.
Wow! And
now at that stage we were Div 6, and now we're Div 2. And look, I can't sit here and put my hand up and say I'll take.
It's all Parbs.
No, sure. So, the people that are running the place there now are doing an incredible job, but I feel that we needed to rip up the foundation and almost start again. And that's effectively what we did. I think the new development down there's helped out massively, but was VP there for a couple of years, and then just with work and couldn't keep the commitment on there. But that was my time now I'm down there on weekends and supporting the side. But
yeah, it's interesting you mentioned about rebuilding and development and everything else like that. I guess the Crows have sort of had a real denouement from 2018 to even I'd say 2022. Things have just sort of coasted down, that sort of thing. Tim Silver's coming on board and a real change off field too. What are your thoughts on how things have progressed off field, even in the last, I'd say, 6 months? And how could you add to that too?
I think that the club's heading in the right direction. Brilliantly. I think Nixie's really brought in a fantastic culture. I think Tim's brought in a great culture, and it's spreading across the club. It's connecting. I think it's given the diehards a bit more warm, fuzzy feel, like, more connected. I think community based. We're definitely heading in the right direction.
Yep.
And I think when you're building the place at Thebby, that's something to be proud of. So I mean, having pride in your club, there can be pride in club by success, but there's pride in club of what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think we need to move now with engaging the young kids, that when they drive past and they see this massive new development, and like you said, with the success of the women's team, I mean, the women's team's the best organisation in the comp.
It's like a gold standard.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be the envy of anyone in the competition. So I think, and that's how Harrison got into it. How my son got into it. He started following the women's competition, and we'd go to games. We're members of the AFLW side, and he loves it. My wife and my two boys, we go to that, and that's where he got his connection with the Crows. And now, because I go on weekends, he now likes to come with me, and it's a father-son kind of thing. But
awesome.
We've got to probably do a better job of showing, and to some extent quieting the naysayers, and highlighting to the kids, the younger and when I say the younger generation, I'm not talking just kids. It's the younger parents. It's the kid, like myself. It's like, I've got tickets, used to go with my parents, and now they've sort of handed the tickets over to me. It's almost a passing of the baton.
Yep.
And that's where we need to, this next step for the club.
Yeah.
It's effectively a fresh start. We're moving home, and that's when we need to build from there and capitalise that, build engagement. We're heading into a more digital kind of society. So give engagement with the kids on that. I mean, you limit screen time and that kind of thing, but give the kids something on the app or something on their website where they can engage and connect. And
or even being able to advertise if that's available.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because, we're both at the same age.
Yep.
Roughly. Yeah. But at the same time, it's the sort of thing that drives me a bit nuts when you're the vocal minority can, in the instance of the football club, and I think it's emblematic of any football club, can really try to drive the change or lack thereof.
Yeah. And I guess that's going back to why I put my hand up is I'm one of these people that, look, everyone's opinion can be valid, but I think anyone that sits there and just wants to criticise, but then doesn't have an option of a solution, like, is it beneficial? Like,
yeah,
I think, there's been times when I've been critical and that kind of thing, but I kind of feel I'll put my money where my mouth is now.
Yeah. And hence why you went on the member panel.
Yeah, exactly.
And why you were nominated for this.
Exactly. I mean, it was the same reason I went on the board at Lockleys. There's people being critical about it. It's like, look, we can stand here and moan until the cows come home, but unless someone wants to put their hand up and make some changes, then we're not going to go anywhere. And look, like I said to you, I don't think the Crows are doing anything wrong. But there's ways of anyone that stands by and goes, we're perfect, we don't need to change, is going to get left behind. So I think it's the opportunity to probably freshen things up a little bit and help move forward. And I guess that's where I feel like I could be of benefit. So
yeah, no, perfect. So with yourself compared to the other nominees at Melda and Con, and we've had a Melda on the pod previously back in 2023, and hopefully have it interviewing her soon. Same with Con. But tell me a little about what's your point of difference between them, or even talk about some of their strengths or anything else like that. Just a bit of a free run for yourself to sort of, why vote one Matt Parbs?
I haven't met either Con or Imelda. I've heard from Imelda's time on the board, I've heard that she's done a great job. And I just feel that for myself, I've had a lot of people sort of tap me and go, look, Matt, I think the club needs a fresher face. And look, I'm not age discriminating, but
no, I understand. It's a fresh perspective.
It's a fresh perspective. And I've engaged with the club for 30 plus years. I've seen it through the eyes of a 7-year-old, teenager, young adult. Now as a parent, I've got connection to the club through my parents, so I see it from an older perspective. The demographic of people I know that work there, have been members there. I feel like I can get a really good perspective of the whole demographic of the club. So, I just think that having, I guess the other thing is seeing a board member that is relatable, the bloke that sits in the outer that takes his kids and that kind of thing. I think that I could be, that person, and just a fresh face, that a relatable member that hopefully someone can think would do a reasonable job on the board. So I guess that's the crux of it. But I just, without going into philosophies and all that kind of stuff on how I think that things could be improved, it's a fresher face. So
no, fantastic. That's awesome. And your thoughts on engaging, say, interstate and international fans, that sort of thing?
Oh, huge. I mean, like I said to you, from a digital point of view, that would be massive for the interstaters and the overseas supporters. I mean, we want to have I think we've already got the most passionate supporters in the comp. And a lot of them wear their heart on their sleeve. But I think if we can continue to engage, and I mean, you see any game we go to, there's plenty of Crows supporters there. So I think any opportunity to be able to engage with them when we go and play, have functions, have, invites to training sessions and signing sessions, and it's to have a young kid, ACT, Victoria, Queensland, Perth, wherever, have being able to get a signature or a photo from Tex or Keezy or the Fog or Max Micheloni, who's Harrison's favourite player. But, I think the closer you can get to it, the closer you can get to touching it and being part of it, it's really important. And I think there's probably little tweaks you could do with the junior package, or just making it more attainable for people to get to it, I think would be, an important move to. But I think we could work on probably the digital footprint of the club too, to engage those, to let the interstaters and the overseas people get more connected. I think I follow Formula One, I follow baseball, ice hockey, and seeing what those teams and clubs do online. I've never been to an ice hockey game. I've been fortunate to be to a few baseball games, but you still feel connected. You feel informed, and I think they're little tweaks that the club can do. Awesome.
Now, thank you, Matt. Let's get into a little more of the casual side of things. Let's get to know Matt. Sit back, relax.
Fine.
Now, first off, You've mentioned some of the other teams that you follow.
Yes.
In other leagues.
Yes.
What are some of the other teams that you follow?
I am a huge McLaren fan in Formula One.
Yeah, I can't tell that from being around
Yeah,
here.
there's a bit around here. F1 is definitely a passion of mine.
Should they bring back the Adelaide Grand Prix
I would love to see it back.
back on the street circuit?
It would be unbelievable.
I would lose my shit.
It would be the greatest weekend. It would be phenomenal.
Yeah. You going to the Motorsport Festival?
I do.
Yep.
Yep.
Excellent.
I've actually got
See you there.
I've got a hat over there, the 1989 Adelaide Grand Prix hat.
Nice.
That race was won by Thierry Boutsen.
That's right.
So that is going down with me on the...
Was that the washed out one?
I think...
Or was that 91?
That was 91.
Yeah, because that was like the shortest Grand Prix ever or something. When
Yep.
Ayrton Senna's putting his hands out out of the car saying to stop the race, you know it's wet.
Yes.
Yep. So now I want to talk about some of the memorabilia around here. The one I want to talk about is that tyre
Yes.
you have there. Tell me a little more about that one.
That tyre is off the 1998 championship-winning McLaren.
Hakkinen?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a test tyre from their Luxembourg test.
Wow.
It's
That is cool.
there was a collector in Queensland that was selling it. I contacted Bridgestone, and I contacted McLaren to get a little bit more information about it, and McLaren got a little stroppy that I had my hands on it because apparently it fell off a truck. So.
What tyre? I don't know anything about
that's a cardboard.
a
cutout over there.
Bridgestone RE92 from a VT Commodore. That's what that
exactly
is.
right.
So you're a McLaren fan.
Yes.
Yep. MP44 is your favourite car.
Yes. I'm a big Mika Hakkinen fan as well.
Oh,
So
the Flying Fin.
the Flying Fin.
Yes.
When McLaren announced that Ricciardo was coming and driving for him, one of the greatest days of my life, but unfortunately that didn't eventuate.
Oh, no.
Look, I was doing a shoey at probably 1 o'clock in the morning when Ricciardo won in Monza, but it was probably not enough high points at that time. But
That's okay. That's all right. Some of the other teams.
I'm a big Pittsburgh Penguins fan. No ice hockey.
Okay, ice hockey. Yeah, nice.
Baseball, I follow the LA Anaheim Angels. It's
Yep.
a suffering.
Misery like
It is, yeah. The reason I follow them is the very first baseball game I ever went to in the States.
Okay. No,
So,
fair enough.
So I thought, I'll follow them. And then Mike Trout came on board, and look, he's been dominant but not utilised well enough. And then when Shohei Ohtani got signed to him, that was unbelievable. And then LA sold half the world and signed him. So,
Yes.
it's a long time between drinks, but hopefully there's some more success for them coming up.
No, awesome. It's interesting you mentioned about the online component side of things. Like one thing that I'm very passionate about is international access,
Yes.
being able to watch footy.
Yep.
Now, I understand that this is not something that you can really do on the board because there are broadcast issues, that sort of thing.
Yep.
But I've always wondered, and I've talked to a Yank on the footy with Craig only last week about the fact that I feel like the AFL is dying internationally because you can't bloody watch it.
Yep.
It's so hard to watch. And yeah.
Yep. Yeah, well, I've got friends, and he's originally from Canada. And when they were over in Canada, he's like, it was so hard to try and
watch a game.
And watch a game.
Yeah.
So there was one game a week, and it was generally a Melbourne-based team and that kind of thing. So look, I mean, whether with the way pay TV is going, I mean, you don't want it to turn into the way it's going over in the States, where you've got to pay to pretty much see any team. You don't want that, but there needs to be some sort of connection. Whether the digital membership the Crows are doing through KO is, and I think the NRL and the AFL both do it. It's cheaper than buying a subscription for those guys. Paying a 12-month subscription for, and I think that's a good way of going about it.
Mm.
But yeah, they need to do something regarding digital, and I mean that's I think that's bigger than a boardroom at Westlakes. It's
somewhat. I mean, maybe we can do a dodgy stream or something through.
Maybe, just
through, somewhere international.
Yep. Beam a satellite off of somewhere.
Yeah. We'll get in contact with Elon. Any other teams that you?
Look, I'm a big cricket fan.
Of course.
I love my cricket, and no, look, that's I haven't ventured into EPL or NFL or anything like that.
Don't do that.
No.
It's
look, I love sport in general. Anything of good quality, I'll sit down and watch it. We follow Adelaide United. My son's
awesome.
Big on soccer as well, so we go to Reds games and get amongst it. But yeah, I'll sit down and watch any sport as competition and good quality. Watching men and women do their thing. It's Matildas. We love getting on board with that.
Yeah, did you go to the game?
We did go to the game.
Fantastic.
Yep. That was our son's first soccer game, and we loved it. So watching Adelaide Oval packed and going off the Charlie over the one teams. Unbelievable.
It's bloody awesome.
It is.
Yeah.
When I remember when in 2011 we went overseas, went to the US with some friends, and they were big baseball nuts, and they're the ones that sort of got me into baseball. So it was a baseball-based trip. We went and saw 4 games in 2 weeks, and I remember we went and saw the Yankees play, and I remember walking up to Yankee Stadium, and they've got all the bars and that are open and people flooding in, and I remember turning around and saying to my mate, "Can you imagine having a membership to these guys?" And coming and seeing it, like it's your local team. And at that stage, we were still at Footy Park. And it was like, you'd roll into Footy Park and, little blue plastic seats and, just sort of the Meccano set that's slowly getting added to every few years. And it was like, I love going. And when it's packed, it was great. Yeah. But then when we moved to Adelaide Oval, walking across that bridge on a Thursday night or a Friday night, seeing it lit up, the crowd's going nuts. It is the best sporting event or the best thing to go to.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a mate who's a Port supporter and he's staunch Port, hates the Crows, but he bought the gather round ticket to go and see every game at Adelaide Oval. And the game that we played against Carlton where we just smacked.
It was beautiful, wasn't it?
And he came up to me the following weekend. He goes, I hate to say it. He said, but that game, he said, is probably the best game of football I've been to. He said, the crowd at that game, he said, smashed anything Port could do. And it was...
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, he hates the Crows.
Yeah.
So we don't normally talk football, but for him to come up and go, hey, look, that was impressive.
Yeah, I remember that crowd as well. And I felt like it was because there were quite a lot of... interstate fans as well, just like general interstate fans.
Yeah.
And they all hate Carlton.
Yeah.
So I think that helped as well.
Oh, look,
when we got 5 goals up.
Exactly. And I mean, by the end of the game, there were a lot of bays that were pretty empty.
Yeah, correct.
So, I mean, the stick that Crow supporters get about leaving early.
Yeah, we all do.
That's everyone does.
Yeah. Win, lose or draw, Crows fans, leave early.
Yeah.
Now, okay, let's go through some of your favourite memories of the Crows or that sort of thing. What's your most visceral memory you have of the Crows? And it can be a bad one too. But
look, the my most visceral memory was probably the 98 premiership.
Nice.
So I was in year 9, I reckon, when that happened. And I distinctively remember I had, and this is absolute, not a lie, I'd forgotten my homework at the day I was supposed to hand it up.
Sure.
Scouts honour.
Yep.
And so it was the week of the grand final. Said to the teacher, I legitimately forgot it. I'll bring it in tomorrow. So I was sitting at home doing my other homework, listening to the radio because KG and Corns, you're getting pumped up and talking about. And the phone rings and it's my dad. And as soon as I'm like, yeah, how you going? As soon as he answers me, he's, can I talk to Mum? What's going on here? Anyway, she's like, you're joking. Oh my goodness, you're joking. She comes in, she's like, Matt, pack your bags. I'm like, why? She's like, we're going to the football. And this is the Thursday before the grand final. So Dad's gone and bought 3 tickets, found them online, or found them on the paper or whatever, and well, that wasn't online back then.
Trading post.
Yeah. Trading post at the back of the advertiser or something. So we've loaded the bags up. I've rang a mate and said, look, I need to get a hand my homework in for me, so I've taken it around to his house and he's run it in for me. And we've jumped in the car and driven over to Melbourne for the grand final. Sat right up the top of the Ponsford stand, which it was a long way up, and it was on foot up this shaky wooden staircase.
Oh, yeah, of course. So this was before they demolished
This is a long time ago, as we know. And back then, my favourite song was Holy Grail by Hunters and Collectors. So Mark Seymour's belted that out pre-game, and my voice has gone before the first bounce. And I remember a few weeks beforehand, we played North Melbourne at Footy Park, and we got done by them. And I was walking home, I was filthy. And Dad's tapped me on the shoulder, and he's like, hey, just chill out. He goes, next time we play him, we'll beat him. Sure of it.
Oh, God.
Anyway, we obviously not 98 pans out as it does. Last quarter, and we're all bouncing up and down and going nuts. And at some stage, Dad just leans over and taps me and just gives me that just little head nod.
Oh,
like,
that's awesome.
Got it sorted. And then that night we went out. Mum's hanging out of taxi windows, yelling at every Crows supporter we could possibly see, and then driving home on the Sunday, listening to everything on the radio. All the Melbourne radio stations are all sour and carrying on, and
not the Crows again.
Yep, and pretty much driving through Bordertown and that. I think Dad had I'm trying to think what Dad had, Pathfinder or something with a sunroof. So every time we drove through the town, I'm out the top of the sunroof with the Crows flag, and that was fantastic. The showdown when Dawes kicked it after the siren. I felt like I was in a mosh pit. There were that many people jumping all over each other, and it's that was fantastic. And he told me knock off Ports.
Oh yeah,
a good one.
Okay, truth time.
Yep.
Josh Jenkins 2018 showdown. Was it a goal or a point?
Absolutely, it was a goal.
Ah, good.
Yeah,
all right, good. Towing the company line.
And so was the one against Sydney that you and I were at. So. But
okay, you know what? I want to talk to. So me and Layden have talked about this. So Layden on the pod as well.
Yeah.
He's the youngest person ever, I think, that owns a VHS player.
Okay.
But he owns 3 of them because we're archiving all of the Graham Corns archive.
Okay.
And I went to that game with him. I still attest that up until that Ben Keys goal point, whatever. And I'll say this as well. I don't blame that umpire. Like, okay, a mistake happened.
Yep.
However, for him to get death threats and everything else,
that's not on.
Absolutely crap. And I genuinely hope that guy's okay.
Yes,
from
absolutely.
a mental health perspective.
Yep.
Up until that point, if we had won that would have been our greatest ever comeback.
Oh,
in
yeah.
the history of our club.
Yep.
Bigger than the prelim final in 97, and I'm trying to remember the other one too. That was the bigger one from a third quarter deficit. But when I saw that, I was not much of a Nixie believer.
Yep.
But to see such a amazing response against John Longmire coach team.
Yep.
To be, I think we were like 41 down or something like that.
Yep.
That had happened. Holy crap! I was like going to anoint Saint Nick's, you know, and I still do because that was completely out of his control, and that's where I almost feel like we're a snake bit a little bit, with 2020, 2021, 22, then that, and then last year, that I still think that last year's squad had some sort of, there's shell shock to a certain extent.
I agree with you. I think that. I think afterwards the way Nixie handled it, I think was really good, and I think that shows where this club's going. There's a maturity and a not getting carried away with it.
Yes,
I think what happened behind closed doors, I think the football club dealt with it as well as they possibly could. I mean, people let's sue them and blah blah. It's like.
When most of the board is AFL appointed, and I say this with respect to someone, like, what the hell are you going to do?
Exactly.
Well, what do you? I remember we went to a member meeting. Was it after that?
It was, yep.
And I feel like some of us in the room we understood, and it was explained to us why we couldn't go through like a Supreme Court injunction, that sort of thing, because there's no legal recourse.
No.
And the fact that Gil McLaughlin comes out, post shoulder reconstruction, and is doing a press conference the next day.
Oh, look, I mean, the Crows.
Yeah.
Look, the Crows have been on the back end of it. I guess the frustrating thing for Crows fans, and I completely get it, is how many times have the AFL come out and gone, "Oh, the Crows have lost a close one," and then they come out afterwards and go, "Yeah, we got that wrong. It should have been, Collingwood prelim, Collingwood qualifying final or knockout final in
2009.
Yeah,
Anthony.
Yeah,
kick the.
Yep. I mean, there's been the North Melbourne game at the MCG when Sean Wren's got tackled holding the ball, and the umpires come out afterwards and said, "Oh, my mum's actually a North Melbourne supporter, so it would have made her happy." It's like, well, we seem to be on the back end of it all the time, but this is the thing: is that, and this is what I've been teaching my son, is that you ride the losses, and it's going to make the victories even sweeter. Yeah. So I mean,
it's been a lot of losses though.
Mate, that next premiership's going to be the sweetest thing we've ever tasted, I tell you. And look, and that's where I think what the club's doing at the moment is fantastic. Is, and I listened to Nixie's podcast. Was it You're the Coach or whatever?
Yeah.
I listened to that the other day, and he's like, "Look, the way we're building, we're not building for a one-off premiership. We don't want to do what the Bulldogs did. We want to do what Richmond did, but do it better.
Sustainability.
Exactly."
It's a good thing that Neil Barnes come on board.
Oh, mate, that's what we want.
If a bit of inside knowledge helps. No, but So, all right. Favorite ever player. Okay.
D. Jarman.
D. Jarman.
I went to Lockleys had a gala a couple of years ago, and he was a guest speaker there.
Yes.
And he stayed around afterwards and was just sort of sitting around, and I was almost too starstruck to go up and say good day to him. DJ was my for some reason I've had this. The Jarman brothers have drawn me in. My very first Guernsey, I remember.
Is it the hair?
Yeah. I'd say I'm. I decided I started going the Andrew Jarman haircut in my early 20s, and then when Nixie went on board, I pulled the razor out. Nice. I'm glad I didn't decide to start sort of copying the coach's haircut when Gary Ayres was on board.
Oh, that was it.
I would have looked really funny with a massive.
It was ironic that the US was invading Iraq for the oil, when at the same time they could have just invaded his hair.
Absolutely,
there was it. Anyway,
but DJ's probably my favourite player.
Nice. Okay. That's awesome.
But yeah, like I was saying, my very first Crows Guernsey was a long sleeve woolen Guernsey with the number 2 on the back of it. I remember running out in a primary school oval thinking I was all that in a bag of potato chips. It was
very much like Andrew John.
Oh yeah.
Now, we obviously at the Crowject do Obscure Crow.
Yes.
Which is a player that never really cut the mustard, but it was always, a cult status. Nick Gill was a perfect example. Adam Saliba was Graham Gooden's favourite one.
Yep.
What's a player for yourself? May not have even played a game.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like Miles Baholke.
I would say, I think I might have referred to him earlier on. Brian Binky was one for me. I think he played 38 games for the Crows.
Yep.
But yeah, I've got a mate who he's been overseas for a while, but still keeps very well connected with tries to keep up to date with the footy club. He's a pretty smart dude too, and there's quite often if something looks a bit ugly off the boot but gets the job done, might be a golf shot or a cricket shot, and it's he's binkied it, but it's look, we no disrespect to Brian, who's
no, if you're listening, Brian, we love you.
We do love you.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, it's we were big Brian Binky fans back in the day. I remember Footy Park. We always used to stand. We all had separate seats, but we'd all come and stand together in the outer. And some of the nicknames we came out with, we'd talk a different language, and there'd be people sitting there like, "What are you guys talking about?" But we always used to get around a Brian Binky golf.
He's Binkied it.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, good luck on your election.
Thanks, Pete.
And if you're listening and if you have any further questions, you can always email us too at crowject.gmail.com or on our socials too. If you've got any other questions for Matt or the other nominees for the board.
Always happy to take them. I want to be that approachable and relatable member. So,
yes.
Yeah, if I'm at... if I'm successful enough to get on the board, if you see me around at a game or anything and you'd like to have a chat, please feel free to come up and have a chat. Like I said earlier on, I'm happy to have a chat with people that can add some constructive criticism. I think just I'll be there forever and a day if people just want to come up and have a whinge without having a nice solution to it. And I think that's what was good about the members' engagement panel is that, yeah, there was some criticism and some negativity, but it always brought a discussion in regards to where things can go to be improved, and I think that's what's really important.
No, definitely. And like I said, good luck,
Thank
honestly. You. It's your first time that you've run.
It is,
So, yeah, I don't think you can do placards, can you? Or core flute boards?
No, a couple of people have made jokes about those, that I shouldn't put them all the way down Henley Beach Road. But,
okay.
No, probably not.
Yeah, that's a shame. Anyway, look, Matt, thank you so much, and thank you for listening to the Crowject and joining us on the Crowject too.
Thanks, Pete.
Awesome.
Pleasure.
Thanks, mate.